Hello and welcome to Eat Sleep Co, the official Telerik podcast. I'm your host, Ed Charbeneau, and with me, as always, is my co-host, John Bristowe. How are you, John?
I'm well. Hope everyone's having a good week.
We've got actually a lot of news to cover. There was a busy week in developer land, it seems like. This is one of your links, John. I don't know much about HashiCorp other than the few times you've told me about it, so...
That's okay.
So what is this about?
All right. So Vault, it's a product. It's not the only one out there, but it's basically a way of securing your applications that use sensitive data. So typically, when you write an application or service, you'll protect the credentials and sensitive data. In the base level form, you'll do this in something like environment variables. But with Vault and other solutions that are out there, you'll use them to basically store those credentials and then make them available through their offerings. What Vault has announced here are client libraries for Go and .NET as a public beta. So now you have a client library for accessing these secure data, which is awesome because typically you'd have to roll this yourself. And so client libraries help in that capacity because it allows you to basically get quick and easy access to your now credentials and other secure values in Vault, which is awesome. So this is done using Open API code generation, which I'm a huge fan of. Provided you've got solid APIs, of course, but the idea is that they utilize code gen for doing this, and both Go and .NET have great solutions for code gen. So from a technical perspective, that's awesome. And then now you can utilize these really, really easily. So they have basically secrets access, and this is done really well because again, it gives you that sort of minimum sort of attack vector surface. You basically offset that premise or that responsibility onto Vault. You say, Vault, you take care of this, you secure this. Vault's like, yep, I got it, and I'll access them there.
Nice. So there's some of this type of thing, I guess, kind of built into .NET, but not to this extent, I guess.
Yeah, so the challenge with using like credential management in the .NET sense is that typically it's local to the box, right? So if it's on the machine, ASP.NET has secure local storage, etc. And so does .NET in general. There are a variety of solutions that have secure locations on disk. There's also things like I said before, environment variables you can use for this. But the problem is that oftentimes applications and services are not isolated to one machine. They are federated. They are blasted out across a variety of different services and various places. So utilizing a centralized solution for this, like Vault and others, like I said, gives you an ability to use them everywhere. And so this is really nice. I'm really happy that HashiCorp has shipped this and made this available through these clients, which is awesome.
Nice. And do you know, is this a, let's see, it says it's on GitHub, but is this a free open source thing? Is it a paid service?
Yeah, these are code gen. So these are code gen from their API. And there was, before they have to use solutions, like there was community solutions like Vault Sharp. So if you're utilizing, and there was a variety of Go libraries, but now you can just simply go to their repos on GitHub and start using them now. So the repos are on GitHub. So for Go, it's Vault Client Go, and then for .NET, I believe it's .NET Vault, something to that effect. You'll find them both on the HashiCorp org on GitHub.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go. Got the GitHub page right there. All right, John. So I know a little bit about ngrok.
Yes.
So this is introducing ngrok-go.
Yeah. So I love ngrok. Ngrok's been around for a long time. Came out of some work from Alan Shreve, who was at Twilio, and then basically created a product. So ngrok stands for Network Grok. It's kind of just ngrok now, but basically what ngrok does, the simplest solution is, you know how you say that thing of works on my machine? You know, that statement. The problem is no one ever gets to see your machine, right? You're just sitting there and everyone has to trust you for it. Well, ngrok gives you an ability to basically securely provide a secure tunnel to your dev machine by providing a facility for doing so. And so if you want to host, say, it's basically Nginx as a service on your local machine, basically. So if you need a web server, and you need to expose, and this, so there's coming in here saying, does this work on Docker and all that? Yeah, anything that's addressable via IP can be exposed using ngrok rather.
This is super handy if you're developing a mobile app and you have like that local host, web server on your machine, and you want to attach your device to it to test something out. So you can
100%.
ngrok it and then pull your mobile phone up, whether it's connected to the same network or not, and
do me a favor,
hit that local host.
Just pull up ngrok.com if you got a sec, because this will basically, I'm assuming some folks may not realize, I should actually, it's right at the top there. So some folks may not realize what ngrok is, but for those who aren't aware, ngrok is a tool you can grab. It can download and install and download it, and then allows you to expose basically, as they describe, ingress as a service. That's a perfect way of describing it, but it's basically the fastest way to expose something on the internet in one line of code. So you basically walk up, you download, install on a Mac, you download via Homebrew. You just say ngrok HP, whatever, some port. If you want to go 80, YOLO, whatever, and then it exposes that thing that you have on your dev machine out, in a safe and secure manner. And so that's super handy, and it kind of helps gives you a little bit of validity to the statement works on my machine. Anyways, this post, which is ngrok-go, is an ingress for your Go apps using a pluggable aspect of Go, which is their network stack. So if you want to expose parts and pieces of your application, which is built in Go via ngrok, this is now a library that facilitates that, which is awesome. So this was announced last week, and I think is fantastic. So if you're building a Go application, there are other ways to do this, by the way. There's a variety of libraries available for Grok, but now there's a Go library for doing this. And I particularly like the solution. The net stack in Go is fantastic, and definitely worth checking out. So they're highly extensible, super performant, really, really awesome.
Yeah, I talked about this in my ebook that I promoted last week about Blazor hybrid with .NET MAUI, and I was using this and some other solutions to hook my mobile app up to the backend server, because mobile it's a different beast than doing web development, where you can kind of attach to services localhost real easy. So I talk about this. There's also a solution that Microsoft's working on to do something similar that's baked into Visual Studio. But ngrok's been around for quite a while. It works really well. So make sure you check that out.
My take on this is ngrok. So I just recently chatted with Eric Lawrence, the author of Fiddler, and his story around why he created Fiddler and Alan's story about why he created ngrok are almost identical. So Eric needed a solution because he was on the clip art team at Office. He needed a solution to watch stuff that was going between Office and the backend service for clip art. And so he built Fiddler. Same story with Alan. Alan was at Twilio and was tired of having to submit all these, basically, he was trying to get webhooks coming into an application for testing. And he was like, this is so frustrating because I have to hit a cell tower and blah, 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 because they were doing SMS. Twilio, right? It's SMS, it's blah, blah, blah. So he created ngrok for that exact same solution. So both Fiddler and ngrok were solutions for an individual's developer's problem, but is super, super helpful in the worldwide audience now for development, which is awesome.
Yeah, those are some of the best tools and frameworks. Is
100%.
The ones that come out of a necessity like that.
Yep.
Markdown helpers. Let's see. Introducing the GitHub Markdown Helpers public beta.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of GitOps. GitOps is this idea that you can, and I'm a big fan of flow. So when you read the literature around GitHub, the early literature, they all talked about providing a solution that is seamless for doing your development day in, day out. And flow is often talked about as, does the solution integrate well within your development sort of work so you maintain that sort of high mental capacity, the flow that is done, in terms of integrating with Git and GitHub and all that sort of stuff. So slash commands have been around for a long time. In fact, you can implement your own in GitHub. But what they've done now is they've actually added all these markdown helpers so that you can just say slash and it will help you. So another example is slash commands are popularized in a variety of other tools. Teams has it, Slack has it. Slash commands are really, really popular for basically encompassing a command that I wish to execute. So slash commands now for GitHub, Markdown is now supported. That's what this is. And so this gives you good flow, because inside your comment, you're not having an alt tab to like, what is the GitHub flavored markdown for mermaid, or oh, I forgot about how do I format a table, blah 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 blah. You can just in a comment maintain your flow, /command, bang, boom, done.
Actually, Twitch has these as well for chat. So I just posted in chat.
I think Twitch does it the best. I think you're right. Twitch does it. They have bangs. They have bang prefixes, hash prefixes, and / prefixes, and they do a fantastic job of that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them there. I just sent a list into chat there if you want to check those out. That's how you do them in Twitch chat, or Twitch. Thindle's taking full advantage of that here. They don't quite show up the same in StreamYard, so can't see exactly what they're doing. Yeah, but yeah, we get kind of a interface panel in StreamYard. Other italics, nice, very cool. Yeah, these are kind of like code snippets almost.
Yep.
In Visual Studio, I like that. I wish. I wish snippets in Visual Studio worked properly. That'd be great.
Yeah, they also encompass other things like issues and projects and blah, 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 blah. So everything you want to do to maintain your flow.
New TypeScript, announcing TypeScript 5.0. This is a major revision, though. We've talked about a lot of minor ones that ship pretty frequently, but this is a big one.
Yeah, it's just a roll up of what we've talked about historically over the past few weeks. They've been previewing this, and now it's official. So this is now available for folks who are cutting out, basically cutting TypeScript. So we've talked about decorators in the past. We talked about a lot of the features, union, enums, things like that. There's lots of stuff in here. We've talked a lot about this on the show. And so rather than boring you with like a whole laundry list of stuff and just scrolling through each feature, it's available now. So go check it out. And
there's a lot of code samples in here. This is really good.
Yeah. So this is not atypical for the TypeScript team, by the way. They do a really good job of articulating their changes. And Microsoft's their writing skills on the blog post is insane. I only sympathize with the marketing department having to proofread this thing. So, but the good news here is that if you want to access the nightlies, there's an extension in VS Code to do that. Downloading this is simple as npm install, bing bang boom, done, get going, that sort of thing. Yep. So
the package size for npm, the TypeScript package, like almost half what it was before. That's nice.
Well, we're gonna transpile it anyway, so we're never gonna ship basically.
Well, you don't ship the TypeScript package, but it's still like when you're, npm install, run that command. You don't have to wait as long when vendors are looking after their package sizes. So that's always nice too.
Yeah, so, anyways, worth checking out. Lots and lots of updates.
Like we've got a ton of links here from the Microsoft blog. They had like a big update for a lot of things yesterday. So they're on their release cycle for .NET 8 previews, and a lot of other tools kind of follow the same cadence, I guess. So ASP.NET Core updates for .NET 8 Preview 2 are out. They've dropped an update to the Blazor Quick Grid component. This is a really nice one. Let's dig into this as well. Improved Blazor web assembly performance with JIT interpreter. Or J interpreter. So if we scroll down a little bit, we've got some details here. They dropped this quick grid. I guess they're saying it's part of .NET 8 now. They
always ship a quick grid. Every framework that Microsoft has shipped in the last 5 years has shipped a quick grid. Really like their quick grids.
So they were a little reluctant to do this, I think. They don't want to be in the component business for obvious reasons.
No.
But there is a big community outcry for something out of the box for Blazor.
Yeah.
And they decided to go ahead and ship something. And I think part of it was also to show people that grids can be done in a performant way in Blazor. I think there was some questions about that early on because people kept trying to roll their own, and they weren't using best practices to do that.
Let's roll our own crypto while we're at it, you know?
Yeah, so we actually helped them a little bit with this and said, you know, we'll provide like a baseline test for testing the performance of a data grid. And they kind of took that and ran with it and then built this as a sample to show people, hey, your grids don't have to be terribly slow. They can be done, and this is how you write them. And then, of course, we have ours, and it's the fastest in the business. And then, you know, we'll move on to improved Blazor WebAssembly performance with the J interpreter.
Is it J interpreter or is it JIT interpreter? JIT interpreter.
Jitterpeter.
That's the weirdest. There's no N. JIT JIT interpreter. That's what it is. JIT interpreter. JIT interpreter.
Jitterpeter. It's not hard to say at all. Jitterpeter.
Wow.
Like people are just going to think we're babbling now.
Let's mark this. Let's mark this. This is.
I can't wait to see when you auto close caption this show. I can't wait to see what it's coming up with when I keep saying jitterpeter.
Jitterpeter.
Yeah. All right. So
sorry.
This is talking about just-in-time compilation for Blazor WebAssembly code, which wasn't something that was possible before. So in previous versions of .NET, everything was it was interpreted. Gosh, I can't talk now that I've said jitterpeter like a million times. So everything was interpreted in the browser. So it's using this .NET IL interpreter to make your DLLs run in the browser, basically. The rest of .NET uses AOT or ahead of time compilation. So if you're looking at like MAUI applications, .NET Core command line apps, which they dropped the core, it's just .NET command line apps now, or just WebAssembly or web server applications with ASP.NET, all that stuff is AOT. That creates large files, though. So we don't AOT stuff and then send it down the wire for WebAssembly unless we absolutely need to. So this is kind of a happy medium. So what it does, it sends your .NET code down to the browser, and then it uses the jitterpeter feature to just-in-time compile certain pieces of code. And it optimizes... It's killing you, isn't it, John? The jitterpeter optimizes the execution of the interpreter bytecode. So I guess it's doing some like minimal AOT and replaces like parts of the interpreted code with tiny blobs of WebAssembly code. So it's kind of like this happy mixed medium.
Right.
And the performance, you can see they're doing some span of byte reverse to kind of test it out. And it takes what are these milliseconds? 11 milliseconds. Yeah, it takes half the time. String.normalize even less than half.
We saw this all the time when in .NET 3, in .NET 4, when they were talking about just in time, a lot of the graphs just go, so yeah, big improvements.
Yep. So they're talking about 40% faster there, just kind of an average. And then, another real world scenario here is JSON serialization, which has kind of been a sticking point with a lot of Blazor folks. So they're, looking at 40% improvements there, which is an improvement upon, this is just an improvement on .NET 8 Preview 1, which improved already just through .NET 6, 7, and 8. So it's gotten much faster, and now this is going to push it even further. So this is hugely awesome.
Important. I love the fact that the team hit on these two ones. This shows that they're thinking about this really carefully. The reason why, so the first example is low level. The second example is super practical, right? So the low level stuff, you'll be like, meh, who cares, right?
Yeah, it's like proof of concept, right?
Right. But then it comes to the practical, which is JSON serialization, which everybody does. So that's awesome. That's awesome that they're doing that.
Yeah, this is proof of concept. And then this is like the actually.
Yes.
But is that, but then in this actually.
Maybe this will change your mind.
Yeah. In the real world, it actually does do good. So that's awesome. Then there's a bunch of ASP.NET features. And there'll be more stuff as other previews come. Those are the major selling points there so far. So that's
Sorry. What's the new APIs and problem details to support more resilient? Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't read that carefully enough. Sorry. Gotcha.
Yeah, there's let's see where to go. There's maybe it's in the .NET portion. Yeah, I'm thinking of the .NET stuff. I was going to mention something. I think it's in this, announcing .NET 8 Preview 2. This is just .NET, not .NET, not ASP.NET. So this is the base framework. So we've got some new stuff here with these data annotations library. So they have extensions now, so you can do more detailed and additional data annotations. So there's like a length attribute one. It's required to be between some values. There's even a where is it at? Required. There's one for GUIDs in here, which was interesting.
They're called GUIDs. Not GUIDs.
Okay. I saw it in here. Maybe
GIFs as well.
Yeah. Maybe I read it in another exam. Oh, there it is. Required. It's on a GUID. So it'll fail if it is empty. And then allows validating of structs that do not equal their default values. So this works on all structs, apparently. That's just the default example they give.
Yeah, so the default value would be like all zeros, and then there's the jokey ones as well that I've seen.
Yep. Right, so improvements in .NET 8. This one I thought was interesting too. I can't really speak to it at a very high level or low level, but the idea, I guess, here is if you want to build for Cosmos DB,
planet scale,
this is interesting because I'm actually doing a meetup tonight talking about Azure Cosmos DB. And this is a new data API builder that they're releasing for Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB already supports a couple different interfaces, and I believe this is to extend it to custom interfaces or allow vendors to add their own interfaces.
I'm going to jump in right at this second and say I don't like this, and this is not even I haven't even read this article, and I already don't like this. Here's why: you don't create an API layer based on what your data looks like. It always falls flat. It's you're stepping on rake after rake, basically, and getting the sideshow Bob rake right in the face. So you don't do it this way. But I understand why people want to do this, because they're like, look, I just want to get this thing exposed. So I understand, but I would not. This is, again, ignorant opinion, dude at a bar with a glass of beer. Oh, you know what I heard? This is me giving that type of insight. I don't like this, but fair enough.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think this probably has some merit, especially if you're doing some like migrations, maybe. Maybe you're migrating a system over to Cosmos DB and you need that interface instead of just being like, all right, we've got to go from version 1 to version new without any kind of middle ground. We're gonna have to just rewrite this whole thing and then switch, flip a switch and go straight over to this brand new database. This would help you kind of build that abstraction in the middle to make that transition easier.
Yeah, I would not recommend building something official on this. But
so you could take John's word for it, or you could read through the benefits here. So it's making it language agnostic, which I think we've tried to do with Entity Framework for quite some time. So, but I do understand what you mean. In my talk tonight in Thindle, I don't know if we are publishing it online or not. I think it is. It'll probably be on Twitch. I will try to double check that before the end of the show and see if we're going to be live on Twitch. But in my talk, I actually mentioned this, the fact that Entity Framework can be used against Cosmos DB is nice because it, on the surface, it makes you think you can write queries and things with a low learning curve. However, if you're not paying attention to the fact that it is not a relational database, and Entity Framework was written with relational data in mind, the parity of the two tools starts to fall apart. So while it does work, Entity Framework can work with Cosmos DB pretty successfully, if you're not in the right mindset, then you, like you said, you've got your foot gun. You just keep shooting yourself in the foot as you write queries that don't work right. So there be dragons, I guess is the nerdy way to put it. Yeah. On to the topic everybody's wanting to hear about, John.
We're gonna need a new video for GPT.
We do.
Can it run Doom?
we could probably create that in just a second with
ChatGPT. Yeah.
Where's the can it play Doom transition that I created? What was the service? We still got the watermark on there. We could just use that service again.
I know. I think a good one would be Kent Brockman's, and I for one welcome our new insect overlords. I think we should use that one, except just replace insect with robot. So
wonder if we can get away with that without getting copyrighted.
Can it replace my job? Will I be replaced?
It's funny.
We're a fan of Bill Burr, the comic, and he always talks about the robot replacement, and he has these great jokes about these things. He's like, it's like these people who try to send their saliva out into the internet for 23andMe DNA testing, etc. And they're like, why do you think you're so interesting? Why don't you just submit your saliva to the Illuminati and help them build your robot replacement? But anyways, ChatGPT. Yes. What are we talking about again?
So actually, I think I got these links slightly out of order. Let's try to move them around a little bit. Let's start with the fact that GPT-4 is out.
Yeah.
These hero images are just so unnecessary.
I know.
So we scroll halfway down the page and we can actually start talking about it.
I would like to say that we were a bit of a, we definitely talked about this well before anyone else did. We were talking about GPT, and you can go back into the show archives if you want. We were talking about GPT last year, well before everyone went nuts over this. So we knew this was coming. So GPT-4 greatly expands the number of parameters, like huge, in terms of its language model. And the demos that have, Thindle, we did this before it was cool. Yes. They have expanded the number of parameters going into their language model, and the types of demos you're seeing on Twitter now are fantastic. They're not perfect, but they are far better than 3.5 or 3 had emitted. So GPT-4 now is available. You can access it via ChatGPT. You can also upgrade your account. So you can still use ChatGPT for free, or you can upgrade your account for higher performant access, etc. And this is the new world. So learn to adapt. So
yeah, it's something that we're looking at investing in here at Progress, and I've been talking to a couple teams here on how we can use it, how it's being used. We've got some really interesting demos that I think we're getting ready to start talking about. a lot of it has to do, I can't get into the specifics of it, but a lot of it has to do with just generating code and generating kind of templates and things within a system to make content development a lot simpler. So I'm kind of wondering if anybody out there's used this already. I think that was something we were talking about on the team, like who is already using ChatGPT as far as developers go. Are you using ChatGPT to do anything with your dev process, etc.? And one of the articles I found that I thought was interesting was how this person's using ChatGPT in their UX design process. So people from all different avenues of the software development field are finding uses for ChatGPT to make their jobs easier. So this one is like just coming up with ideas. And I think this is where I've found a lot of use in it so far. So you can kind of give it a prompt. This one says, write a brief overview for a mobile app aiming towards fitness goals. And it comes up with an idea for fitness tracking. No more lorem ipsum. If you need some copy to fill out a page, go ahead and prompt it for some. Write an about us section for an e-commerce website. Welcome to our e-commerce website. And you can also add to your prompts, like in the tone of a used car salesman, and it will, it'll cater to that need. And it's pretty interesting. We showed one like you said a couple months ago that was like generating Seinfeld episodes or something.
Sure. Yep.
So you could always give it a tone of voice. User research, creating personas. It's all just very interesting how this Raya, I guess is how you pronounce that, I hope, is using this for working with her UX tasks, generating workflows, getting page layout ideas, deciding color schemes. I didn't even know that ChatGPT was knowledgeable of colors and color wheels and things, but why not? I guess, why wouldn't it be? What colors should I use for a luxury travel app? Navy blue and gold. It's pretty spot on too. Yeah, that's really interesting. Design systems. Wow, look at this. Let's see. Generate documentation for a design system for a secondary button, and it comes up with a table and everything. Font sizes, padding, pixels, colors, hover states. Pretty knowledgeable about all that as well. It's very impressive. It's a great read. Really great read here. This just shows off like how you can leverage this type of tool to make your specific line of work more, I guess, low friction, easier to come up with ideas and things like that. And then this is another article just raving about ChatGPT 4 and how it improved over the latest version. So there's different examples in here. This is one that I saw quite a bit of on social media feeds this week. Coding made even easier. Some users have recreated iconic games such as Pong, Tetris, or Snake, following step-by-step instructions on how to do so. So what they did is they prompted ChatGPT and they said, like, I want to code a Pong game, and it would give them instructions on how to code the Pong game, give them code samples to paste in, and for the most part, just write the code for them. And then somebody took it even a step further, and they're like, okay, you created Pong and you created Snake. Let's see what happens if we ask ChatGPT to create a hybrid game of Pong. And it was like, give me a game, or write a game for me that has the Pong paddle on the right-hand side of the screen and the Snake game on the left-hand side of the screen, so I can hit it with a Pong ball or something like that. And it generated it. It was really bizarre, like mashed up the two games in real time. So that was pretty impressive. So there's a lot of this type of stuff in here, and people are getting more creative with things to prompt it with to see what it gives them. And some of the results are pretty impressive at times.
Yep. Now, to be clear, GPT is not Copilot. And I know some folks in the comment section have made the same case. Copilot is a mashup of, well, it's basically a language model based on what GitHub knows about its own repos, basically. So,
yeah. And then, make sure you're aware too that ChatGPT can be wrong.
Oh yeah.
And it can give you, basically it's only using the information it has at hand. And if the information it has is incorrect, it will still feed it to you as if it is correct.
In some ways it can be wrong. In other ways, actually, the code that it can generate can actually have bugs that are really easy to miss in the code that I've seen. So some of the code gens that I've seen have divide by zero exceptions lurking in them. Invalid. You start fuzzing the methods and functions that are generated by ChatGPT, and they're just littered with bugs. So you got to be really careful.
Yeah, and its data is based on like a certain time period as well. So like if it's newer technology, it's not going to know it, or it will give you kind of dated responses. Like I'm trying to see what it does as far as helping generate content, and I've been asking it things about migrating apps from web forms to Blazor and .NET Core, and you get some dated responses from it, and it's like, this is how you do X, Y, and Z, and you're like, yeah, there's better ways now,
right?
But it still gives you some nice templates to go by as far as writing goes. Like if you're writing content and articles, it gets you past the like writer's block phases of things, which I think is pretty nice. Yeah. So you're like, oh, I'm stuck on this thing. I want to word this. I just don't know how. And you just kind of like throw a prompt in there, and it's, how do I get from point A to B? And it's like, well, start here, and here's your headline, and kind of gives you some text to work with, and you can take that and use it to direct what you want to write. Which is probably how you should use it anyway. Not take anything verbatim and just paste it in this content and use it. Onto your favorite subject, John. We need a stinger for this one too. AR, VR. We need just like a John montage of dismissal and brooding over AR and VR.
To be clear, I don't think that I'm not saying this will never work. I'm just saying it won't work for now. We have a long way to go until this actually is a thing, in my view.
John's like, I'm not saying this will never work, just not in my lifetime or yours.
Yeah. Stop hacking. Like I've always said, don't hack my face. Please don't hack my face.
So this is kind of we have the media folks that come to conferences, and they take notes on things and write articles about things that happen at conferences. This is kind of one of those. So there was a conference in Berlin, and there was this kind of tech panel on AR, augmented reality. And they were talking about experiences that have kind of been improved with AR. And they use the term AR very broadly here, by the way. This does not mean it has to be like slapped on your face. Like AR is a very general term that I think a lot of people get confused with the visual parts of AR. So augmented reality is just when technology helps augment your reality in some way, shape, or form. And that's a very loose term. So Disney has this a lot, where you have the like RF bracelets that say you go to a ride and maybe the characters are doing a routine or singing a song. They know just by that RFID tag when you walked in the room that you're present, and they might tailor some of the content to you by name or something like that. So to some people, that is AR. All right. So it's not all, hack your face stuff. But they talked about a lot of teaching of like history and historic travel scenarios where they can do a lot of storytelling with layering on. They're trying to coin this term, layered reality, and immersive experiences. A lot of marketing buzz terms in here, sadly. You okay, John?
Can you hear my heavy breathing as I'm getting frustrated with this? Sorry.
So, Singapore tourism boards, like, yeah, we could use this to enhance the quote wow factor. The marketers are going nuts here. Wow factors of the destination by adding a focus on, how did World War II affect people, and allow us to tell the story better through AR. So there's a lot of like nice stuff that's kind of glossed over in here. Where technology can kind of come in and play a part in telling a story, which I think is really cool. So whether it's by putting something on you visually or just interacting with you in your environment with your cell phone or something else, whether it's audio, video, or otherwise, there's a lot of room for it. So I thought it was still a good read, even though it's kind of filled with the marketer landmines everywhere. And then more in AR news.
Yes.
This one, you'll probably like this one, John.
I have to say LiDAR is good. I like LiDAR a lot.
John approves of the LiDAR stuff. This one says on iPhone and iPad. This is not something that's limited to Apple, but it's probably an Apple fan that's seen some cool stuff on there. So they kind of dedicated this to iPhone Pro and iPad Pro because they reliably have LiDAR on the device. And these are apps that already exist, but it's always good inspiration to kind of take these ideas and see how they might fit into your applications. So I thought it was a good share.
A great job of this, by the way. I used the IKEA app with LiDAR.
I think that's mentioned in here.
Yes, good.
Yeah. So they're great at seeing things in the dark. So LiDAR in this example helps with the autofocus. In the device, but if it can see in the dark, I mean, there's other potentials to use it to do things in the dark where you have limited vision as a human being. This might be able to kick in and find things in the dark for you. Measuring distances. So here's some things that are already in the App Store that use LiDAR to measure distances, and this is really nice, actually. You just kind of point your camera at something, and it immediately can put a scale over it and tell the distance between two objects. Measure a door frame, for example. If you've ever done any home improvement stuff, usually this requires like a person from one of the big box stores to actually come visit your home and measure things before you buy like windows, doors, that sort of stuff. And you could have an app instead from one of those big box stores that you just walk around and scan your room, and then they've got all of the measurements that they need. You want to measure picture frame, for example. That's all doable with the LiDAR stuff. This is the one you were talking about, John. Try out furniture in your home.
Yep.
The IKEA Place app. Now, this one used to require you to print out like a 8x12 sheet of paper with a QR code looking thing on it. To actually identify the place in the room where you wanted to draw the object. But LiDAR makes it possible to do it without a, what do they call that, a token or a beacon to make it understand where you're looking and trying to place the thing. So now it can do it just by scanning the surface of the room and figuring out where the corner is, for example. So that one's super handy. IKEA's been on this for quite a while.
Yep.
I think they're one of the first, if not the first.
Sadly, the app will not help you assemble their furniture. You still have to fight your way through the bad instructions.
You'll have to wait for the strap it to your face edition to the hack your face for that to happen. But it looks like Wayfair, Bob's Discount Furniture, Amazon does this now. Believe it or not, Amazon has this built in. Like, it does it on silly stuff. Like, I bought like a waffle maker, and it's like, do you want to see it in your room first? I'm like, do I really need to see if the waffle maker fits? I don't need the virtual waffle maker.
I do.
Thank you. This one, so we talked about like measuring a room. This actually creates a 3D scan of a room. So if you're doing something where you're building like a VR game or a VR experience, or just like something with like a 3D game engine, doesn't have to be for gaming, but a 3D engine of some sort, and you want to model something very quickly, or maybe use that model as a template to build some more detailed models, you can actually scan things with your LiDAR on your phone and create like models from it. And you could do this with, I'm trying to think, it was HoloLens, I believe. You could do this as well.
Yep.
And it was really cool because I actually scanned something in to the HoloLens and then brought it into Unity and looked at it once, and I was like, wow, this is really a really poor model, but the detail on it is pretty abysmal, and it's not optimized for like reuse for anything, but it's really like a nice starting point to like, if you're going to build like a realistic 3D model of something, you can just do like this quick scan, get the scale of it, kind of the shape of it, and import that, and then work off of that template to make your asset for your game or your application or whatever. So that's really awesome. And I'm not going to talk about trying on glasses. I think that one's kind of silly. Useful, but in the context of what we've seen already, not the most impressive. It could help with accessibility needs. Microsoft has the Seeing AI app that they've demoed quite a few times. It's really cool, where it can help somebody with vision impairments. It will tell them about their environment, what's in the room. They give cat sitting on a floor for an example. I've seen much better examples. I think we saw a build a couple of years ago. There's a gentleman at Microsoft that helped develop this. He has some visual needs, and he was sitting in like a park, and it was telling him like, there's a skateboarder riding a skateboard nearby, and it fed into some AI to tell like what mood that person was even in. And it's like, and they're happy, they're smiling, they're happy, which can be really great context for somebody that can't see facial expressions on somebody that's sitting across from them. Again, I talked about that one, scanning a 3D model, playing a game. There's lots of great AR games, but overall, if this didn't give you some ideas about how LiDAR is really awesome, then I don't know what will. There's some cool stuff that you can do with it. Thindle says he has a friend that was doing some work with LiDAR on a drone that was scanning models to make scanning buildings to make models out of them. That's really awesome. And then, of course, we got to have like the womp womp section. I thought this was dead a long time ago. Apparently, they've still been selling this thing. Google has officially ended its enterprise sales. I think that's the key word there. Enterprise sales of Google Glass. Yeah. I think as a developer, you've been unable to get this for quite some time. We kind of knew it was being discontinued, and it's finally dead, like dead. So they're discontinuing the software, the SDKs, all that stuff. Done, dead, finished. I think it was an important advancement, but never an important product. That makes sense. You follow?
Yep, I'm with you.
It needed to happen to get to where we are now, which still isn't perfect by any means, but it was a great groundbreaking of AR. And then it talks about that in this, by the way. There's the Ray-Ban project that Meta's working on, also not great, by the way. And I think dead as well, if I remember right. If not, soon to be dead. And they talk about some of the struggles that AR has had in general here. So they mention all of them. Meta, Apple, and Microsoft all have something that they're working on and have had minimal success with. So we'll see. And that's all we got, John. That's it for today.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's nice to catch up on all the hotness. There's been a lot of really good software releases this week, though, with all the Microsoft previews of things and .NET previews and all the AR and ChatGPT news this week. It's been pretty busy. Pretty busy week.
It's a brand new world.
It's a brand new world. Just ask ChatGPT. With that, I will say goodbye, John.
All right.
Take care, my friends, and we'll see you next week.